Okay, we're back. We are back. Time to get to work. Except for half the people are still out of the room. Yeah, well, perhaps they will appear. Perhaps they won't. First of all, I would like to tell you that I am extremely proud to be heading up what is soon to be a 7.1 committee. You know, this is an honor that I didn't expect, and I am just so happy about this. So, as the head of a soon-to-be 7.1 committee, I'd like to tell you that over the past year, the Philanthropic Committee has worked not just to raise dollars, but to actually elevate this board to think about philanthropy. And I think it is a function of making it a 7.1 committee to reflect the importance that it has. So, you know, it's going to be very helpful in bringing in the leadership that we need in partnership with everybody to make an investment in the movement. So, to the members of the committee whose names are on the board, thank you, your time, relationships, your personal commitments. And this committee, you've heard from them because they've been busy calling you. And it's really been a wonderful experience to get to know everybody a little better by having these calls. And I think this is something that I hope this board will continue because I think it's just really important. So thank you to the committee members listed up there. They have all been working very hard. So let's turn to the board results that'll be on the board. There we go. So $977,000 were raised by this board. And if you look back, and we'll look in a moment, it's a 70% increase from our 2019 board campaign. So you can see that this has been a really hard to, not hard to do, but really important change in the philosophy of the board giving. We're at 99%. We've got one gift remaining, and we've got 6 former board members who have also given to this campaign. You've heard from Jay about the importance of cash in the bank as opposed to pledge cards. So I'm very happy to say that we've got $831,000 that has actually come in, and the 146 that's outstanding, a lot of that is from donor advised funds that just take a little while to matriculate. And we've already got some money pledged for 2026. So I want to thank everybody on the board. I thank the committee for helping to reach these numbers, and it's pretty exciting. Next. Thank you. So this just as a recap of where we were in 2019 when we were at, some number is too small for me to read. I think it was 575,000 back then, and you can see the growth. And you'll notice somebody may ask the question, why is it lower this year than last year? There's a couple of reasons for that. Why is it? It's like, you know, the 4 questions. Why is it? Why is it lower than last year? There's a couple of reasons. Number one is last year was a board transition year. We brought some new board members on while we still had some other board members, so we actually had a bigger pool to draw from. So that was one of the reasons. And the second is that last year we kicked off the other campaign, and everybody was thinking, wait, I'm going to have another gift that I'm going to give, so I'm not going to increase my gift this year for the campaign. So we're really thrilled that we got this close to $1 million with everything else that's going on. So we're not upset by that, but we just wanted you to know there's some reasons for that. Okay. I mean, this kind of trajectory doesn't, oh, there's board giving highlights. Okay, there we go. This doesn't happen without a real fundamental focus by the Philanthropy Committee and also an understanding by the people in this room that what we are doing is important and that what we can accomplish is only going to be accomplished if we have the resources to make it happen. Now we can go to the next slide. So, like I said, the 977,000 was great, but that doesn't really reflect the total giving of this board, because this board is extremely generous in giving to other things, other programs, whether it's Maccabi, whether it's JWB, whether it's Elevated. There's lots of places that your money is going and is most appreciated by the organization and the Philanthropy Committee. So we figured there's probably close to $5 million in total giving that's coming out of this board. So I think it's a remarkable number. Included in that is $1.7 million that was already raised in the TICFA campaign. And we'll talk about that later. Okay. Here we go. So, like I said, I think the Philanthropy Committee has done an amazing job, and it helps, and this is what's so important about it. It demonstrates leadership commitment through personal giving, okay, and I think that's how we all feel. It strengthens the financial stability of the organization with consistent support. It builds donor confidence by modeling investment in the mission. And that's huge, because we're talking about going out to major foundations and major funders. And it's important. They want to see, is this board committed financially to this organization? And when they see these numbers, they understand we are committed to the future of this organization. The other thing we'd like to ask, expand reach by opening doors to new prospects. When you talk to the member of the Philanthropy Committee that's going to call you, just to visit, or whatever they do, think about who you know on foundation boards around the country, or who you know who might be interested in helping us with our mission. This is a group project. You can't, it's not just the committee that's doing it. They're going to do it because of the incredible work that you all have done in your communities and the contacts that you have in your communities. And that's how things happen. People don't respond well to cold calls. They do respond well often to warm calls where there's a contact that they know. So this is also amplify credibility as trusted ambassadors. When you're out in your local organization, and this is, the board execs know this, but all of us who are lay leaders, we're out in our organizations, and it's up to us to be the ambassadors to our especially to our ambassadors, but to all the other people. I'm going to tell you something we did recently in Houston, and I think it should be a model. David and Barack and Daniel were in Houston for Joel Dinkins' going away party, and that was the Saturday night, the party, and Sunday morning I hosted, actually Betsy hosted. Anyway, we hosted a bagels and coffee at our house for the executive committee of the Houston ERJCC, along with the members of this board who are from Houston, and along with David and Barack and Daniel. And it was a great get-together to tell, and the reason I wanted to do it is I wanted our local board to have a connection to this organization, to understand where their dues were going, to know the people behind it, to be able to ask questions about where we're going. So if you hear of David or Lisi or Barack or Daniel coming to your community, maybe you could host something for your local board so that they can feel a part of this organization. Yeah, advanced culture of philanthropy across organization and beyond. That's what we're talking about. But it's not just philanthropy, because our ambassadors and the other 148 JCCs are a huge part of our budget. And if we can do some things to tie those people better to JCCA, that's just a huge win. Okay. Next. Are we done? Are we done? Okay, I'm closing and I'm good. I like to be good. So what we're asking, you're already doing. demonstrating leadership commitment through personal giving, strengthening the financial stability, all these things. We're doing it. So what we're building together is a foundation. It's not just bigger than one campaign. It's the financial foundation for the Jewish life in North America. So on behalf of the Philanthropic Committee, thank you for your leadership, your generosity, and your belief in what this movement will be, is, and will become. So now I'm going to turn it over to David, because he likes to talk.
All righty. Well, thank you, Ed. Thank you to all those on the Philanthropic Committee for obviously your ongoing efforts and leadership, and appreciate, you know, everyone's support in what we do. Obviously, the board campaigns, obviously the fuel, you know, on our ongoing operating support, and so we very much appreciate that. Before I get going into what I want to get into a little bit with you, I do want to just circle back before lunch and just to say thank you to Lisi, to Suzanne, to Brian Schreiber, to all those who were involved with the governance, task force. A lot of work, a lot of effort, back and forth, very thoughtful process in going into it. And as I was commenting to Suzanne, is that, as a task force, it had a time frame, and it got through the time frame and delivered the report, and we appreciate all of your support to obviously make it happen. So I just want to again say thank you to that. Okay, so now circling back to what I need to talk about with you all. So last May, you all remember, in what was then our conference room on the 4th floor of 520 8th Avenue, we introduced this thing called the Tikva campaign, okay? And at that point, a lot was still coming into focus. Jen and Barak were in the midst of a leadership transition. Barak was just beginning to use this language of the centers of excellence. And we spoke about the meaning of Tikva, hope. And we named this campaign as a declaration of our collective belief in the future of this movement. But even then, we were clear about one thing. It wasn't passive optimism, it's hope in the form of purposeful action. So at the time, we launched as a $5 million board-led campaign focused on 3 priorities: to deliver growth and programmatic innovation, to align the JCC Association's technology to better serve the field, and to complete an inviting new headquarters for our movement. So those were all of that. And we shared that every gift and every gift amount mattered, that commitments could be made over multiple years, and that leadership would be recognized through naming opportunities. We even had materials printed. We had a full case for support, or what we believed was a full case for support. And some of you, including me, stepped forward, okay? And obviously we are grateful very much for that early confidence in that commitment. But yet, at the same time, and as I personally discovered when I was going out to make some of those calls on the individual basis, I was getting hard and some necessary questions asked of me, just as important. So, what emerged was not just a solicitation of an ask, but really, I called it the discovery process. People were saying, what's the vision? What are the initiatives? How does it serve the JCCs and JCC camps? Who else is going to invest? What does sustainability really look like? Even some of those things I hear in the last day or so as well. We are working on this. It's in terms of a framework. But you told us at the time we needed more clarity, more transparency, and much more meat on the bones. And as we've shown, you were right. And we continue to work at that in a thoughtful process. So obviously here we are. We've come through this thing, and look at how far we've come. I'll share again. Barak, you've seen, has traveled North America and Israel, meeting with JCCs, with camps, federations, funders, board members, community leaders. So you've seen this presentation in a thoughtful way that's all come together with a lot of input, feeling. You all endorse the idea of a strategic framework. So a revitalized organizational structure, a focused investment plan for our future, and a growing sense of momentum around where this movement is headed. So we now have something we did not have fully last May. We have a compelling roadmap, and I guess that's the best way. And now we're, with the roadmap, it's looking to build the runway to make that thing happen for JCC Association so we can deliver the vision to the field at scale. So what does it mean for us as a board? You know, back then in May, we had a goal of $5 million. That hasn't changed. That goal is still $5 million. But what has changed, and what we outlined today, is that goal now sits within a broader $25 million vision, which we will take to the major funders and partners. So as you know, Michael, Barack, Brian Hayden, Lisi, we all share that the generosity of this board is what will create this runway, the working capital that allows a strategic framework to take flight. So when we talk about 5 million as at that board goal, 1.7 is already there. So current state's 1.7, future state's 5 million, that gap's 3.3 in terms of everything. And so obviously we have a pathway to get there and a belief in all of you. And so I want to say again that every gift matters, every amount, because it will be a collective, you know, effort. What we're looking for from this board is 100% participation. That's essential. We will take that in parallel with the ask that we will do before major foundations and the broader Jewish world. And I'll come back to something Ed talked about. We're all ambassadors as well, you know, and within local communities and opportunities, you know, within what we do, and, you know, whether the ambassadors or if you feel like the term, if you're into football, you could be the offensive line, you could be the quarterback. There's opportunities to create those things so that be a part of it and invest in that. So, but what I do want to be clear about in what this is a goal, or this is ultimately going to be a board campaign, but yet we spoke about separately the annual campaign board gifts that you make. We're putting that's here. This is a campaign that's a multiple year opportunity to coincide with what we'll be doing with the major foundations as well. So earlier today we had a meeting with our philanthropic committee, and we want to now change the wording. It's no longer Tikva. The word is now Hazon 2030, which ties into our strategic roadmap ahead, what you've all endorsed. So that's the campaign. I want to say that we will be having continuing conversations that will be taking place between now and really the intention is that we have those conversations with everybody by the end of March. And I'm very pleased to announce that we will be having a committee, or I should say a campaign committee that will be, ultimately we'd like to have 2 co-chairs, but I'm pleased to announce today that Phyllis Stabachnik has stepped up to become one of our co-chairs for that campaign. And I want to also say that, you know, tying into everything of Jay Lieberman, you know, that whenever we run this campaign, we want to run it with transparency, with discipline. But yet, when we have those conversations with you, with each of you, those are personal conversations that we want to have. We want to hear from you. Obviously, the intention is you're buying into what the vision is that we have. We want to kind of, you know, these gifts are something that come from your heart and your passion and what we're trying to do in that. And we're open to all sorts of conversations to strategically move this thing forward. I mean, I could show you you know, typically they do these things and they look at the pyramids and all. I don't need to show you that because I believe in all of you, that we'll do the right thing, we will get there, and I just want to say that very excited, and hopefully you've seen that we're going to deliver clarity on the promise in this campaign. It ain't easy to ask, I know that, but I appreciate your heart in terms of that. So obviously the other piece of it is there's a priority order to activating this strategic framework. So the funding that we get where it comes from, not only the board, but also within the foundation world, that's going to trigger each phase. It's not the other way around. That's why the budget that you saw is, structured the way that it is, and why finance and the leadership will continue to provide that clear oversight and the reporting. So we will continue to keep you updated as elements of this framework are activated in that process. And as well as Barack has those conversations with the foundations, you'll be hearing about that, including what transpires with his conversation with the Marcus Foundation around JCC Maccabi, which will be later this month, and has also the element to ask these other questions. But we talked about, I don't know if you call them the Big Five or the Big Seven or Big Nine foundations that ultimately the hope is by the end of March that he will have had those conversations and perhaps presentations. So with that, I'm going to take a pause and with real gratitude to all of you, just to say thank you. And let me open the floor for questions, and Barack's here as well to answer any of that. Mic drop. What? Tell me. I have Michael.
I don't mean to sort of step out of turn here as someone is part of the staff, but we had a huge conversation a little while ago about outcomes, the need to collect the data to demonstrate our outcomes, and how that will turn this organization around going forward. From yesterday's budget presentation, the funds for the data systems and people to support that work is in this next tranche outside the committed level. It's in the need level. It's a high priority in the need level. So unless we can get there, we cannot do all the things that everyone in this conversation talked about wanting to do. So I just want to make it clear where this stands in order for us to be able to deliver on the requests that the board made.
Thank you. Other questions, thoughts? All right, yes, Susan. She already has the microphone. Look at that. Yes.
That is hopefully those of us who have not yet committed, myself included, in TISLA, will be getting calls from the committee over the next 6 weeks, because you want to have this nailed down ideally before you go into your.
That's been a conversation that we also had. Truthfully, and Barack, you're free to comment as well. I see those as parallel. I think personally, I think we have the knowledge base where those conversations have been taking place. Yeah. Seeds have been planted with those Big Five in doing that. I'm just saying we want to get an early start on all this. We'd love to have the board side of it in by March 31 for everybody as far as what the investment and their buy-in to this will be in those conversations.
There's a sense of urgency on myself and my colleagues that the sooner we have that, my sense is the more compelling Barack's cases for his large five members. I wanted to clarify that I have the number right and the time right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
There could be some foundations like, I want to know the board's 100%. The only thing I got from the funders early on are the JCCs behind it, right? They wanted to know that who was, at this moment, am I really representing? And that's why I tell them, when I spoke to some of them somewhere, I said, I'm representing 119. Then I said, I'm representing 126. Today is 148. We do not use that 172 number that we used to say. And so if some funder says I really wanted the board, we'll inform you of that. That has not been telegraphed to me from the major foundations that we need to know where the board is at. Because I also think that I can speak to it in parallel play that what we're asking the board to do, number one. Two, we have a pretty incredible board campaign already showing board support. So I think I can speak to a lot, but we'll see. I think each one's going to be, Susan, really customized.
Thank you for the question. Ed?
I intercepted this microphone that was probably going to go straight to Jay. But as you heard from the Budget Committee, that cash in the bank is always more valuable than pledges. So the sooner the money comes in, the happier Jay and Carrie will be, and the more we can do.
Anything else? Phil needs a mic.
We all clearly know that the sooner the money comes in is what we were really looking for. But let's not underestimate the priority of making a gift that is payable over several years in order to potentially feel better about a larger gift. Because there's no value. I mean, if the gift is made because of what you can pay before the end of June, that's not necessarily the extent to which we need to really bring in those dollars. But we also want it, we want it to be comfortable, and we want people to be able to creatively look at how their dollars are going to impact our ability to continue the momentum in terms of staff and planning and all the other pieces that go along with it. It's very exciting to look at what we are going to be able to collectively own, but the way we get there is with these individual, very personal conversations. And so thank you in advance, because it's going to be a project, and it's going to really have a huge impact that we're all very excited about.
Thank you, Phyllis. Yeah, donor advised funds, stock gifts, all those things, the market's done extremely well. So, sometimes we get these magical things where the gift may be intended as one thing and actually ends up being more because it's hit on the great day of the market. So, but I just want to say, when we do make the calls out to you, we understand, and we will treat them with utmost respect, personal warmth, and, we want to have everybody feeling really good about the process. Suzanne.
So my question is, I support this. I'm also, like Susan's, have not contributed yet. But part of that is because I'm married to somebody named Rob Tucker, and he is my financial planner. And I have to be able to explain to him why we should take money out of our joint accounts that we earn together to support this effort, in addition to the board gift I'm already making each year. And so for me, he's a numbers person. He'll want to see the numbers. He'll want to understand the numbers. Usually he's pretty good about going along if he can understand the numbers. And so for me, I would appreciate, and I don't know if anybody else would, but some of that context to give to him.
And we would welcome him to be a part of any call as well when that time comes, and any coaching you would like to have that helps us along the way, we'd be happy to provide as well. I think we had Lori. No, I thought you said, then I saw did the mic get back to you, Jay? Of course.
I was just going to emphasize, and I think it addresses some of your, we have, not everything that was asked today do we have, but to your request, again, the December, I think it was December 13th or something call, there was, I'm not saying it's approved to be widespread, but there was, that whole presentation was about why we're raising the 25 in total. The 5 is a subset of that, but I think that meeting we did virtually and the materials that accompanied it, and Michael, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, it wasn't under the Finance Committee's jurisdiction, but I think it does actually break down from head count, what we're trying to do, what the money being raised is trying to be spent. It might not be to the detail you're asking.
I don't know yet.
But I'm just saying, if you look back at your emails, there's an email that had a link to a YouTube clip and some materials. And again, that didn't come out of our box, but I have reviewed it multiple times myself as a board member.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity on this. And I wanted to make it let you also aware. Obviously, JCC Association has been part of JCC Global. Obviously, we all know Smadar. And, you know, we spoke at the beginning of the meeting, we spoke of the loss of Sheila Lambert. Sheila was the president of JCC Global, and it's a loss for their organization. And our boy Steve Seiden here was the past board president prior to Sheila. And so Smadar has asked Steve to chair the, you know, what would be the nominations process to name Sheila's successor. So I want to, you know, share with you. So Steve, thank you for your work there. Obviously, we have a number of our board members who are also part of that JCC Global process, so appreciate everybody's support with that. And as well, I know Jane Rubin is planning to go to the UK as part of one of the educational opportunities coming up. So, and Steve's going too? Working on him. Okay, great. All right.